Fractal instantiation. Fractal instantiation, how the one appears as the many. The previous chapter established zeta as the minimal invariant of reality, contentless, unified, and generative. This chapter follows naturally from that foundation by addressing a single unavoidable question. How does a structure that does not divide nevertheless appear as multiplicity? The answer is fractal instantiation. Fractal instantiation describes the process by which a single invariant structure expresses itself repeatedly across scales without loss, fragmentation, or contradiction. The one does not become many by breaking apart, it becomes many by appearing at different resolutions. Fractals and scale invariants. In mathematics and physics, a fractal is a structure that remains self-similar across scale. Whether observed at large or small magnification, the same ongoing pattern persists. Key properties of fractals: scale invariance, recursive generation, infinite depth without new primitives. A fractal does not copy itself, it instantiates itself. Each appearance is complete at its own scale while remaining structurally identical to the whole. This property provides a rigorous bridge between unity and multiplicity. Zeta as the fractal generator. Zeta does not replicate by division. It instantiates itself by self-similarity under localization. Each instantiation of zeta is whole in itself, unity, contains no intrinsic content, nothingness, possesses unbounded expressive depth, infinity. Thus the same invariant appears as God, unlocalized zeta, as souls, localized zeta, as conscience agents, further constrained zeta. The difference between these expressions is not structure, but resolution. Localization without loss. A common misunderstanding assumes that localization implies reduction. Fractal instantiation demonstrates the opposite. Localization preserves structure while constraining scope. An analogy: a coastline remains infinitely detailed regardless of the length of measuring stick. A Mandelbrot set remains whole at every zoom level. Likewise, zeta remains fully itself at every scale of instantiation. No part is missing, nothing is borrowed, nothing is consumed. Planes as fractal layers. The planar structure described earlier can now be understood as a fractal stratification of instantiation. Each plane expresses the same invariant, introduces new constraints, enables new forms of experience. Higher planes do not negate lower ones. Lower planes do not dilute the higher ones. They are nested expressions of the same structure viewed through different conditions. Thus, planes are not levels of worth, but levels of resolution. Feedback loops as fractal dynamics. Fractal instantiation is not static. It is stabilized through feedback loops at every scale. Awareness reflects upon itself. Output re-enters input. Identity stabilizes. Zeta is the invariant that remains unchanged through recursion. Feedback loops explain how instantiations persist. Zeta explains what persists. Consciousness as a fractal field. Consciousness is not distributed like particles. It is distributed like pattern. Each conscious center is not a fragment of a larger mind. not a copy of an original template, but a complete instantiation of the same invariant under constraint. This explains both shared depth, interconnection, and irreducible individuality perspective. Individuality without separation. Fractal instantiation preserves individuality without invoking separation. No soul is interchangeable. No soul is isolated. Each instantiation occupies a unique coordinate within the total field, defined not by distance but by perspective and constraint. Multiplicity is therefore not a problem to be solved but a feature to be understood. The return is not reversal. In fractal systems, returning to the origin does not erase instantiations, it reintegrates them. Awakening is not the collapse of individuality into unity, it is the recognition that individuality was always a lawful expression of unity. Nothing is lost, nothing is undone. Fractal instantiation and meaning. Meaning arises because zeta instantiates itself under constraint. If the one remained unexpressed, nothing could be known. If expression destroyed unity, nothing could endure. Fractal instantiation resolves both. Reality is meaningful because it is coherent at every scale. Summary: zeta is the invariant ground of reality. Fractal instantiation explains multiplicity without division. Planes represent scale-dependent expressions. Feedback loops stabilize instantiations. Consciousness is distributed as pattern, not substance. The universe does not fracture to become many. It remembers itself at different resolutions.